Welcome back to Inside the Ring, boxing's official show of record. I'm your host, Max Kellerman. That is the editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine, sitting in for Mike Coppinger, who's not the editor-in-chief of Ring Magazine. Darby Fisher, that is an influencer in and out of the ring. Ryan Garcia, and that is all-decade running back. Do you know how good you have to be all-decade running back? An all-decade boxing fan? Shady McCoy, and we're up in here chopping it up. The producers had to get in our ear. Stop it! Talking about the best fighters we've seen in person. We'll get to that another time. It's time for the lead hook. Conor Benn avenged his loss to Chris Eubank Jr. with, I don't know what else to call it. It's kind of a one-sided beatdown, guys. But it was of an apparently drained Eubank Jr. Conor Benn floored Eubank twice in the 12th round. Hey, is he going to be able to score the knockout? No. Eubank survived, but Benn won a landslide unanimous decision. I thought one judge had it a little close at 16-10, but okay, those things happen, guys. Your initial thoughts, I know, Ryan, I'll start with you. I know that when we say, hey, Chris Eubank Jr. looked drained by the weight, it's kind of taking credit away from Conor Benn. Yeah. It's not fair to him, but it's what I saw too. Eubank looked off, but a lot of that was Conor Benn, his aggression. What were your impressions?
I just seen that Eubank's reaction time wasn't the same. You know, everything came back was like a second off, move through a shot, and I'm like,
perfect assessment.
It's not. It's exactly, you know, he's not hitting his beats. You know what I mean? So for me, he just didn't look like his 100% self. But again, I don't want to take anything away from Conor. Congratulations, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I heard Conor Benn's going to 147.
I already called you out.
Yeah, he called. We're gonna get. Let's not jump the gun. We got much more coming up, including Ryan's response to Conor Benn. Dougie, I totally agree with Ryan saying he looked, it's not just like a second slow, it's like...
Yeah, well, his reflexes were off.
His reflexes, he looked like a guy who got hurt came into the fight like hurt.
Yeah.
Like was
maybe his equilibrium wasn't totally there. His legs were like 90% as opposed to 100%. His reflexes were like 80% as opposed to 100%. He wasn't drained like Diego Corrales was drained going into the fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Or Jose Luis Castillo.
Yeah, or Jose Luis.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, or Fernando Vargas in the rematch with Shane Mosley. He was completely drained, making 154 pounds. He went AWOL, skipped out of camp for like 2 weeks, put on like 30 pounds, and lost it all within a week or whatever. So his fight. His victory was just making that contracted weight of 154 pounds. Once the fight started, he had nothing. Shane really could have knocked him out in the first round. He didn't know
Vargas
though.
Now.
Yeah. Shane could have he did knock out Vargas in like the 5th or 6th round with a big left hook, but he could have done it in the first round. Fernando had nothing. That's not the story with Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank, it was a fight for him to make the contracted weight and not being able to rehydrate all the way, limiting the hydration. That hurt him, and he's 35. So when you get into your mid-30s,
it's hard
playing
the
with
first
your
time.
weight
It's not going to be easier
harder.
the second time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was just off. My thinking, you got to give Conor Benn credit because he was so disciplined. He kept his emotions in check. Okay, and he stuck to boxing basics. He wasn't doing a lot of crazy stuff out there. He was in, he was out.
As
he was
a result,
working
the
off his
fight
jab.
wasn't as good as the first one, but it was more dominant from Dougie. I got to tell you a little story because you're not on the group text, right? Because that cop's on the group text. Maybe we got to put Dougie on the group text. And I don't think you were on this group text.
I'm not even on there either.
Because you show up once in a while.
Listen, I'll be there
But
soon.
all of a sudden, Shady, who did you have going into the fight before you changed your mind?
Listen, I had Conor Benn winning.
And what did you text us right before the fight started?
But I didn't know.
What changed your mind?
Yo, when I heard that 50 Cent came out, I was like, 50 Cent? Got the brother from Queens, New York? I thought it was going to be a better fight. Right?
So you saw it with Eubank and it changed your mind
I thought that I was betting on Conor. I had 10 grand to the side for Conor Benn. All right? But then when I seen 50 Cent bring him out on the wall, I said, oh, no. I don't know now. But
always go with your gut instinct.
Yeah,
always go with your first choice.
What was his goal? First instinct.
I didn't even want to bet against 50 Cent. It's my favorite rapper of all time. But it was a good win for Conor. I'll give him that. The first fight, you could see his emotions were really, really high, right? All these wild punches he was doing early in the fight. If you see the last one, he was more controlled, right? And Eubank, I mean, his legs was gone. He did look drained. I cannot lie. He did look drained.
I think by the 12th round, with Conor boxing the way he was boxing, staying disciplined, holding his form into the late rounds, by the 12th round, Eubanks, he didn't have legs to stand on.
Right.
But here's what I say. If Conor had fought the way he fought in the first fight, this version of Eubank would have done much better.
Maybe I'll say this: we engage in a little bit of revisionist history because our perceptions change when we see the new things that happen. We perceive these new events, and it changes our perception. But let's go back in time. When the first fight was first announced, the idea is that it's a kind of a catch weight, and the bigger man had the advantage. Eubank was a more accomplished fighter. He was the bigger man. He was supposed to win. Then an inconvenient thing happened, but it was convenient for the rest of us, which is a great fight that Ben did really well in. I still think there was a sense he overachieved, and now Eubank has to put that to bed and move on. That is not what happened. That is the first Ben win, as he said after the fight, in the Eubank-Ben rivalry, which is now spans 2 generations and 4 fights and a lot of great rounds. After this fight, Conor Benn was explicit about who all he wants next. Check this out.
Got my boy out.
Back down to 147. What's next for Conor Benn? I fancy Barrios for the WBC world title. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, all of them Yanks can get it any day of the week and twice on Sundays.
I can't take his trash talk
Hey, what's
serious.
a yank?
It's the accent. It just doesn't.
What's a yank, though?
He fancies you.
Exactly. He
Right, what's
fancies
a yank?
Because
you was the first
couldn't
one to
pay
call
me.
it out.
I don't know what a yank is.
You're
man.
very
Maybe a
American.
youngster. It might be a
You're
youngster.
very fancy.
You're a Yankee.
That's cool. Anyways, yeah, I would love to fight that guy. You know, Conor, he's been not been on my radar, but now that he's coming back down to 147. Let's run it.
All right,
but I may have a fight come up, so might have to wait.
Game recognized game, though.
Yeah.
When you see him, you were perceived at a certain level.
Yeah.
And he was perceived at a certain level, which was not your level.
Right.
When you see him look the way he did against Eubank, do you think, this guy got his level. He leveled up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Everybody improves, the more their career goes, hopefully, right? But, yeah, for his that performance, I got to give him it. He did his thing, for sure. Boxers don't like to give credit to other boxers, but, respect.
What did you like that he did?
I just liked, he came in on point with, staying in shape. His conditioning followed all the way through, like Dougie was saying, and he took advantage of what was in front of him. You still gotta, you still have to go through with your game plan. The guy might be a little weak, but you still gotta put the work in. So he did that, and that was impressive. But
when you watch it though, right? What will you
I
be
think he
different?
cannot beat me.
No, I'm saying, but what's the difference between you
if that's
and Eubank?
what you're asking me.
No, I'm just saying. Obviously, you think you're gonna win.
Yeah,
of course, but what's the difference between you and Eubank? What's the difference?
I'm just fresher,
Okay.
faster, and younger,
better puncher.
and ready.
Okay.
You guys had words.
And I think I have better defense. I think I have a little bit better.
Who walking you out?
Not 50 Cent. I'm just kidding. No, I would love to have 50. Why not?
Ryan, you guys had words at the Ring Magazine Awards in
yes.
London
Yes.
in January. What was that all about? I didn't witness it.
I had
heard
no
about it.
idea.
I saw a commotion. I thought you were fighting.
I was chilling, and then he just
Right.
come up to me and started pressing me. I was like, oh, okay.
What'd he say?
I don't know. He was saying that left hook's not going to hit me.
Conor
I said,
had a
I
chip on
guarantee
his
it will.
shoulder all last year.
He had
Yeah.
a crate. I was like, bro, relax. I'm just here for the award show. But if you want to get down right now, we can. It was crazy because I wasn't even talking. I was just walking, enjoying my time, and then I was just like getting pressed.
So you didn't say anything disrespectful to him?
No.
Okay.
Until he came at me and he's like, this is my city. You're in my city. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
This is what I want to know. Sometimes fighters, a guy like Ben comes off a win like that, and he now makes himself viable for a big fight, right? It means a bigger purse to whoever he's fighting, and so he becomes more attractive. But sometimes you'll look at him and go, and I got to be ready for that dude. And other times you look at him and go, ooh, easy money. When you look at Conor Benn, is it the kind of thing where all these fighters he's calling out, the really good ones are going to think, oh, and now this guy is a big payday? Easy money, or are they thinking, no, he leveled up to our level, no, that's a serious fight? Which one is it?
I think it's a bit of both, depending on who you ask. Which guy feels more comfortable with a guy that fights like that. For me, I'm in between. Easy money, but it's not gonna be easy where it's like, all right, I don't gotta get up at all. Like this guy is hungry, he's aggressive in the ring, and he's not gonna stop fighting. He takes a lot of good shots, as we've seen. So for me, it's like I'm a little bit of both.
Sounds like you respect what you saw.
Exactly. I respect what I saw, but I'll be prepared.
And it's pretty confident, though. I always talk about body language in any sport. Body language tells you a lot about the fighter. If you look at the difference between the body language between Eubank and Conor, Conor looks super confident, like, I'm going to win this fight.
Yeah.
Where Eubank was more like, all right, I'm trying to figure him out. Let me just try to maintain and stay in the fight.
Not that he won a title, Dougie, but back in the old days, people used to say a title makes a guy 50% better.
Right.
Right? Because he's all eyes of the world are on him. He feels like he's accomplished something. He has more belief in himself.
Yeah.
By the way, he's making more money. He can quit his day job. He gets, et cetera,
and this is
et
a
cetera.
huge rivalry in England and all of UK. It was a stadium fight twice. It's 12 rounds. He's got to feel good about himself.
And I always refer to Larry Merchant's quote, which I love in these kind of situations, when he talked about Ali Frazier. I've said it on this show several times. They were fighting for the championship of each other, right? That's the championship that Conor just won, the Ben Eubank championship, right? So do you think this makes him a better fighter now?
It definitely elevates his confidence. But what I saw before the fight, during the 12 rounds, and definitely afterwards during his post-fight interviews, is a more mature Conor Benn. Like I said, he had the controversy with the performance-enhancing drug stuff and being banned in the UK, and he fought that tooth and nail the whole way. And for a couple of years, he couldn't fight in England. He's fighting in the United States in front of small crowds, and he's not really giving his best. That's when he's looking like not world class, right? Kind of like a mid-level dude. And I think he's just put it behind him. I think there was a lot of emotions that he began 2025 with. He sort of got that out of his system in that first fight.
Kind of new phase of his career.
Because he just let it all hang out in the first fight. In the second fight, he was more himself because when he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, he's a super cool guy. It's a great interview. He gets on well with the media, with the fans, generally with fellow boxers. So I think his maturity is now at a level that is professional, world class.
Which will help him.
Dougie, can we just keep it real, though? Because all things you said was right, and I believe everything you're saying. But they are split 1-1 fights, and Eubank won his best on this fight. And I know,
let's see them without a rehydration clause.
I'm just saying, we praise Conor, and I like Conor from the interviews, and he should have a good fight. But I got to keep it 100, though. We're not going to praise you super crazy when you fought a fighter you already lost to, and he went at his best. That did happen, correct?
All right, so let's talk about rehydration clauses, because Saturday's fight has brought to mind another question. Rehydration clauses, should they even exist? I mean, I suppose you can negotiate anything. But back in the day, weigh-ins were day of fight.
Okay.
So fighters fought within 10 or 12 pounds of their weight. They walked around closer to their fighting weight because they knew they still dried out, they still dehydrated to make weight, but they knew, I can only dehydrate so much. And by the way, my memory is, Doug, very seldom did anyone miss weight. I don't remember fighters missing weight back in the day. Then because the science said, hey, if you dry out too much and then rehydrate, worse outcomes can happen health-wise in the ring, they moved the weigh into the day before. As a result, though, the no good deed goes unpunished. As a result, fighters were like, oh, I got a whole extra day to make weight. Now they do it in the morning, by the way, 36 hours. I'm going to walk around 25 pounds over the weight, and they're missing.
Guys wanting to game the system.
Yeah, they want to game the system.
Unnaturally lightweight because they can get away with it.
So should there be rehydration clauses?
I don't think there should. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, you're putting the fighters in danger. If you guys don't like this fight, then don't make it. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to do it.
Right.
But the idea of the
I don't think it should exist. I mean, yes, it could get negotiated. I just don't think it should exist.
The idea of the rehydration clause is, theoretically, you would like to have guys fighting each other who are the same size if they're in the same weight division, if they're not heavyweights. And so the idea is trying to counteract gaming the system. Oh, I got all this time to rehydrate, so I'm going to be the bigger man in the fight, as opposed to being the same weight, really. So how do you address that if you don't have a rehydration clause?
I mean, how do you do that? That's a tricky one for me, but at the end of the day, if a guy wants to fight, the most I would do is a catch weight. That's it.
But the problem you have with these
You've had dehydration clause.
I've had that, and
twice.
It did not feel good.
In your two biggest fights.
One fight.
Just against Tank.
Just against, not with Devin.
Not with Devin, no.
So just Tank. Okay,
just Tank, yeah.
And how did that feel to
I ain't gonna lie, that was probably the worst I've ever felt in my life. It just, it's hard to do anything dehydrated. What I tell people is like, try to play ping pong dehydrated.
Let alone fight Tank Davis.
And then you gotta fight Tank Davis in front of, thousands of people. It was tough, but I agreed to it, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah. You have to take responsibility.
Exactly.
But you want the money, though.
But like I said,
he could make money with a lot of guys. He did it. I remember this happening. You correct me if I'm wrong. He did it because that was the only way to make a big fight.
Yes.
He was being criticized for not fighting big enough fighters. He's like, okay, that's the biggest name. I'll fight that guy. They are naturally more or less the same size at the time. Maybe he had a slight size advantage.
I was small back then.
And is that the only way to get that fight, to put the rehydration clause?
That was the only way. Yeah, the fight wouldn't have happened if I didn't accept that. But I said, let's do it. Let's run it.
I once asked Marvin Hagler.
And it's not like I'm that much bigger than him either.
I once asked Marvin Hagler, Shady, why did you agree to 12 rounds against Sugar Ray Leonard instead of 15? 15, he probably wins the fight. He said, it's the only way I get the fight. If one guy is going to make a lot of stipulations and will not fight without making those stipulations, what do you do?
But I'm okay with that, though. You talking about the 12 to 15 rounds? But when you talk about the weight and hydration, so in any sport, right, the number one thing they tell you to do is stay hydrated. Even when you were a freaking little kid. So now you want me to fight on a professional level with one of the other great elite fighter, and now I can't be hydrated? You know how hard that is? I challenge anybody out there, right? It's not even a pro athlete. Go out there and say, you know what? I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose 25 pounds. And don't eat at all for like 2-3 days type thing. And you can't really hydrate. And then you go train. You're going to kill yourself.
But I will say
and you want me to perform at a high level?
Let me play devil's advocate, okay? I'll play devil's advocate. If you're making a fight with two fighters who really aren't the same size, right? Like Eubank and Benn. Benn can be saying, listen, I'm giving up natural size. This dude's skeleton is bigger than mine, right? Like he's a bigger person than I am. So I will fight him in his weight class, but I want to make sure he's actually fighting in the weight class. I don't want on fight night for him to be in a higher weight class. I'm coming in junior middle, he's coming in at super middle. Not fair. Like, I'll play devil's advocate and say that. Like, how would you answer?
I think that's fair, but I also think if you're that fighter going up in weight and you put that stipulation on your opponent, your naturally bigger opponent, you can't get upset when the public or the media or even your peers, fellow fighters, don't give you 100% credit.
Right.
I think that's
a good
fair.
point. Like
people don't give Canelo 100% credit
yeah.
Beating Sergey Kovalev because he had a rehydration clause. Was there a rehydration clause when Mayweather fought Canelo, or was it just a catchweight?
Yes.
There was a rehydration clause?
There was a rehydration clause, I believe. We can fact check that. Ortega, fact check that. There was a rehydration clause, and it was a catch weight. It was 152 and a half pounds.
So that's two stipulations right there.
Right.
So it's hard to give Mayweather 100% credit, even though he boxed brilliantly in that fight.
I just don't consider him having won the title because it's a catchweight fight.
Right.
It's not a junior middleweight, by definition, is a 154-pound limit.
Right.
Excuse me. Correction, I stand corrected. There was not a rehydration clause. Mayweather requested one, didn't get it. So he beat Canelo fair and square at 152
Let's give him 95% credit on that one.
He gets 100%
But definitely,
credit,
there
just not as a
are
junior
fighters who, I mean, I thought it was a boss move when Canelo went up to light heavyweight for the first time.
Right.
And I gave him credit for it, but a lot of people, in part because Canelo was the face of boxing and all, and the most popular guy making all the money, everybody wants to hate on him. But the thing is Team Canelo can't complain about not getting 100%
I like it,
credit
Doug.
for that.
I like it. Something Coppinger would have never brought up. Never would have brought up. But anyway, I like it. Guys, do we agree on this? I started out the segment by saying that I felt bad about kind of bringing up the rehydration clause because it takes credit away from Conor Benn. Doug's point is, have the rehydration clause, but now you can't complain if people like us say, yeah, but there was a rehydration clause. Yeah. I'm with that. I think that makes sense.
But look, they're choosing to move up, right? Nobody asked them to move up. They chose to move up. That's not like, you can't get to that weight class that you chose to move up to and then say, hey, but you cannot, there's a rehydration clause. That doesn't make sense to me. It's like you chose to move up. So you got to fight the guy.
But why,
that's why Crawford gets full credit for beating Canelo. He didn't make him do that.
But that's why.
That's the thing.
Come on, now.
We look at Crawford different, though.
No excuses.
You get what I'm saying? Like Tank. It's not like you can say bad about Tank. But one thing we all keep noticing with Tank that's obvious is like, yo, you never fight people at their weight class.
For those watching on YouTube, head over to DAZN to catch the rest of the show. Coming up, our informant Mike Coppinger, who never would have brought up a point as good as Dougie just brought up. Was at the fight and caught up with Conor Benn. That's next on Inside the Ring.